May I thank you very much for coming. We love to have a full house here. We have a very special person to introduce you to today, one who is talented in many ways, one who's traveled the world, literally, and has come home and made these wonderful quilts. And maybe she's made them in Japan. I don't know where she's made them, but she is a genius with quilts. And Stonegates has been very, very lucky because we've had 3 or 4 quilt people, and they're all brilliant. I could never start. Anyway, today, Margaret Odeon is a special quilt person, and she's willing to share the quilts with us and tell us a little bit about the history of each of them. So thank you. We appreciate you making the effort to come. I think it'll be a wonderful program. Okay, Margaret. When did you first get interested in quilts?
In the 90s, I had a classmate that got in college who grew up in the South, and she was very good. Her family did a lot of quilting.
Did she get you started?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your family? Was there anybody in your family that was involved with quilts? Or
My paternal grandmother was, I don't know that she ever made any, but she did have an interest in them. But I don't have any quilts from her.
did you pick up things from her that you didn't realize you were picking up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Did you ever consider selling your quilts?
Not really. I mean, it isn't that I might not if somebody was really dying for it, but I don't know.
Did you do your first quilt in Delaware?
Yes. I did several there.
Okay. And when did you start to take lessons?
In the 90s.
Locally or all over the place?
Locally in the beginning, and then when my husband and I moved to have 2 homes, I did take courses in Santa Fe.
And Santa Fe was special for you, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel it affect your work?
Well, I didn't have a very big background in terms of quilts, but I think it gave me I wanted bed quilts, so I got that all taken care of. And then I wanted to do exploring, and we had an opportunity because there's a lot of art quilters there and a lot of people who do quilting, and it just provided some stimulus.
Did you ever join a quilt guild?
Yes, in New Mexico.
In Santa Fe?
Yeah.
And how did that affect your work?
It gave me an opportunity because teachers would come from all around, and you would get to learn some different techniques or whatever that was special with them. So
Also, you traveled the world. What was the first place that you went to get ideas from quilts?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like fabric, I like handwork, and so I was always interested in that, and I have no idea.
There's been too many countries.
Could be.
Well, if you look at the board up there, you know there are. I mean, we're talking Japan, Okinawa, we're talking lots of places. It seems also that when you were going different places and you found a lot of different kind of materials, things like that, this really opened your mind to what's out in the world itself, that maybe you couldn't find all these things in the United States.
No, I don't think I would have found some of them there. That's for sure. I don't think many people would have found them there. But we were on it.
Did you have a favorite place that you went?
No.
No. There are too many places that you
Yes.
went.
What?
Excuse me, do not interrupt us. We're very important right here. Yes. Um, Also, Santa Fe affected your work, you said once to me, because of the color?
Yeah, I like-
How did that happen?
Well, there's a lot of color in that area.
Right.
That's not just, I mean, there's some from the land, and the sky is brilliant, but there's also a lot of other color.
Once you had been learning to create quilts and now had the fabric, how would you go about making the quilt? And what special tools did you use?
Okay, a quilt has to have 3 layers, really. I mean, you could have a thin one, but it wouldn't really be a quilt as much. But then you would need to have a pattern or some kind of idea about what you want to make. You don't want it to just be all one color, so you have to plan. And a lot of times we just use patterns because we have many, 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 many quilt patterns. There are all kinds.
And but you also have some original quilts that you didn't use anybody else's pattern, but you designed your own, correct?
Yeah, but not, I mean, I might not have designed the whole thing by myself.
Did you ever make a quilt with another person?
Yes.
And how did that work?
Well, we were doing it for a purpose, and we had assignments, and some people were doing the stuff that was straight, and then other people were doing the ironing and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you have something that you would like to show now, or would you like to go to the slideshow?
Why don't we go to the slideshow? Okay, this is a Y2K quilt. There was fabric printed in that era, and you really can't see it, but there's a stitching for 2000. Oh, okay, it's a traditional pattern. It's been around forever, and it's one that gives you an opportunity to rotate the blocks so that you have some pattern in the way that the color is used in the blocks. This is a math problem, and it's a problem that was solved many, many years ago, like in the Middle Ages, and it was by an Italian guy who I always get tangled up on his name. But what they did was there was a way that the blocks were cut in a certain rhythm, I'll say, and we didn't do the whole long thing because it would be way long, but we adapted it by putting a pattern into it, and so there's applique and all of that on there. I mean, I did fussy cutting on the flowers and butterflies. So that's one of my favorites. Okay, this one is a technique, and it's one where we picked a color scheme. Then we had to make a stack, and so I don't remember how many were in the stack. You guys can count them. I can't, because there's just a stack that had whatever number of patterns, colors in it that we wanted, and then there's a small stack and a big stack. The stacks were separate. They didn't integrate. And then the next part of the technique was the curve. So we had to cut with a curve. And then we had to take the stack and take one piece off, and then they kind of got mixed up after that because you had about a border. So that's, you don't always know what's going to come out. Okay, this one is fabric that German friends gave me because I had been, good to them or something like that. And the patterns on them are very small. So I really wanted to have, I really wanted to use them, but I didn't want to have all that little small stuff because it wouldn't really show. And so that's why I took the bigger, I also wanted to get more quilts out of it than there was fabric. So I got other fabric to fit the colors and all of that, and it's Christmassy. So, okay, this one is from a trip, and it is a combination of things. That long big strip is probably one of the things that promoted this quilt, but I have a friend here who lives at Stonegates, and we did a little thing where we were doing like it was like what do you call that when you do that with paint till you get it stencil? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And so she didn't want hers, and so that gave me an impetus to turn them into something else, because I got that one, and then I got the big one, and then we have these two, well, there's four up there, we talk about them. They are on banana leaf paper. I like paper, it's not really paper. But it's very strong, and I think it can be used, like for a raincoat, but it's stiff.
Did you use a machine to go through the banana leaves?
Yeah, that had to sew them, yeah. And then the bottom one is not from Okinawa. There's two pumpkins, and there's a Japanese artist whose name is Yayoi Kusuma, and she is the pumpkin dot lady. I don't know if you guys have heard of her, but she's been in museums in the US, and she hung around with that guy who was the red tomato soup can. And she went back to Japan because she knew that she had mental illness. So she checked herself in to the hospital in Tokyo, and she goes down to work in her studio in the morning, and then she goes back to the
Hospital?
and then in the night. But she's a little strange, I think, but anyway. Oh dear.
Don't say, oh dear.
Well, it was a fun thing to do. I got started on this quilt in Houston, where there are some embroideries up there that you may not be able to see that they're embroideries, but this French lady was trying to help the people get some money, and so she taught them to use their embroidery skills for a purpose. And so I thought, I really am very interested in needlework. So that was the start. And then I needed to get some other things to make it interesting, so that there's some ladies in there that are kind of dancing around. And that's one of the things that I have that's going on there. Then, of course, I had gone on safari and seen a lot of animals. So some animals are can see really easily, and some animals you can't. And so I tried to do that a little bit with this quilt. Like that lion isn't as obvious. Those little black, what are you, peacocks? They're not peacocks, they're pheasants. But they are all over the place. It's kind of like a national bird of well, I don't know if they have outside of South Africa, but anyway. And so I just took a bunch of those and put them across the bottom. And then I had to have some fabrics that were African fabrics. So I collected some fabrics in South Africa on a couple of trips that I did, and then I have some that I found in the U.S. So that's what that is. And it's been very popular with everybody. I think people like animals.
I think they like what you did with the animals.
This is a quilt that I did with a friend on the 4th of July. And we were going to do a modern quilt. And so we looked at some books and got some ideas. And then we didn't finish it on the 4th of July, but we got a lot of headway done. This was mine. I don't know what hers looks like because we never brought them together. But can you see how the circles and the quilting make a rhythm? This one is inspired by using waste fabric. There was a store in Tokyo called Blue and White, and the lady there, one time when we were there, had this fabric, and she explained to us that it was fabric that they put down, and then not that fabric, the waste fabric was on top, I think, and it was there to absorb the extra ink. And so that's why you can see some strange things on there, but it's iris, and I really thought it would be fun to try and figure out a way to get this bigger sections of the pattern, and then fiddle with the other things that some of them have are I guess they're about 4 by 4. Some of them have some of the waste fabric in them, and some of them have pieces of the waste fabric, and some of them don't have any waste fabric in them at all. So I like this one a lot too. This was fun. This is all fabric from New Zealand. And it's got the flora and the fauna and the history because of the Bowery. And everything is some kind of thing related to New Zealand. My bag.
Your bag.
You never can have too many bags.
Not with this kind of color.
Well, they're not all like that. But the Japanese have a lot of bags that they use. Anyway, I decided there was some fabric in the quilt store that was origami fabric. You can see the little origami birds and all that flying around. And so I wanted to do a bag. So that's how it came to be. And I did that all by hand. Okay, this is from another trip. This is from Cambodia and Vietnam. Thank you. It started because I found some embroidery that was locally done. And so I chose 3 that I thought were interesting. And then the fabric is, when you see it, okay, it's kind of fairly crude in terms of how they stitched, but that's okay. It's, the folk art or whatever you want to call it. And then I just, it's the board back, no, the insides are all, we did it with silk. This is one that's also had a fan club because it's blue hens. And it's a traditional quilt from the 30s. And I think those roosters have attitude. This was a piece of a really big bed quilt that I had no interest in doing, but I was very interested in using the technique. So it's very thin paper piecing, and that paper piecing is a way to get your sewing more accurate. And so that's what that is. But I made some holes in it along the way, so I had to make some embroidered flowers. So I did some fussy cutting, which probably made it a little more interesting. But I was really sad when I cut some things that wasn't supposed to be.
It's been a real pleasure to work with Margaret. She has a unique way of showing us what she can do. And the fact that she traveled all over the world to do these things and then have them, displayed. Like we've had really a session of quilts and been very fortunate. It's been a real pleasure for me in particular. Some of us are artists, but you are unique artists with quilts.
Thank
So
you.
we're really happy to have you here. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
all. I never thought I would be doing a display.
Well, I talked you into it. Yes.